Let's do a quick rundown on miter splines. First thing you're going to need, spline material. Keep it relative to your size of what you're splining. I started this one, forgot to make a video, as always. So anyways, what you're going to want to do first, mark your material up, check your size relatively. What you don't want to happen is to end up cutting your spline too deep so that it's inset. You want to be able to have it stick out just a hair so that when you cut these off, you don't end up with a divot right there. So we'll just roughly measure up where that needs to be. And we'll take our square. We'll make our line. So that is going to be where that spline is going to sit. Another crucial part to this is making sure that you have a flat top blade on your table saw. So this one actually does alternate, but every other tooth is flat. And what I mean by that is this tooth is flat across, and this tooth is alternated. Flat, alternated. This blade is actually a 7¼ inch blade for a skill saw, but it's what we had local down at Ace, just a framing blade. So I picked it up, works just fine. So if you look at this blade, you can see the teeth alternate left and right, and those will not give you the cut that you need to make splines. Don't use these. Next, you'll need to find the center of your spline. I've got my handy dandy little gauge that I like to use, pretty simple. Just mark across both ways. That will give you center of that board. Do the same thing with your spline material. Then you can put those together and mark out your piece. I like this method over the measure and guess method, is what I like to call it. Measuring your halves doesn't always equal half in real life. And just in case you have any mistakes on your material, marking in place with the material you're going to use will help avoid them. So I like to measure in place and go from there. So what we'll end up doing is cutting out this entire center section to fit our spline. Okay, back to the saw. What we're going to do is raise and lower our blade until the tooth just hits that line on the top and the bottom. If you're hitting over the bottom, raise your blade up, and that'll bring the bottom in and the top out, if that makes sense. So as you raise your blade, the surface of it gets bigger on this end and smaller on this end. If it's too high over here, you need to go lower, and that will drop this side instead of this side. As an example, we'll just raise that up. So now if we come back, you can see when this blade spins, we're not going to reach the bottom, but we're going to be over on the top. So we'll drop it back down. Now we're going to be too much on the bottom and not enough on the top. So you just got to play with it, raise and lower it until you find that sweet spot. After you get your blade set in height, the next thing you're going to want to do is set a stop so that you don't go over your line and cut too far. I'll usually use a block of wood, clamp down to my fence, just like that, so that my frame runs into it without going over. Some people use tape. Since this frame is so thin, on this one, I'm just using a clamp. Just so that I don't have to extend my fence for this frame to ride on because it's too close. So what you'll do is get your depth set where you're going to want it in reference to your blade. And then just throw your clamp on your fence. Now you can make repeated cuts, just like that, at the same depth on the saw. After you get that depth set, the next thing you're going to want to do is set the other depth for width. So what I'll do is set it right at the line. And it's important to note where your teeth are on this because most of the teeth are wider than the blade. So you want to use that tooth and the very edge of it to set up on your line so that you're not going too deep and ending up with a bigger cut than you need. After you make all your cuts, you should have nice clean miter slots, just like that. You can glue your splines in. Just like that. You got a nice clean slot on the back side. Just a hair sticking out on the front side, so when we cut this off, it'll be nice and flush. The other side is also nice and tight, all four sides. After you get finished, you'll end up with something like that. Or something like that. Usually you'll use an alternating color like cherry and maple, or cherry and walnut, walnut and maple, just to give it some contrast and a little design style. This customer wants something super basic, so that's what we're doing. This is strictly just to add a little bit of strength to that joint.